There are people who make us believe they could never fall. Ace Frehley was one of them. The man with the silver face, the one who made guitars fly and turned every stage into his own universe. He survived years of alcohol, drugs, accidents, and loneliness, only to return each time brighter, wilder, as if mocking fate itself. People once thought the spaceman was immortal, an alien lost among humans, existing only to light up the sky of rock and roll. But even the brightest stars eventually run out of fuel. And when that silver glow faded, the world didn't roar. It fell silent. No one quite knew what to call that feeling: loss, gratitude, or simply emptiness. Ace Frehley wasn't just the guitarist of Kiss. He was the soul of music that dared to defy limits, a symbol for the lost who found themselves in piercing riffs. Every time his Les Paul smoked, it wasn't just a stage effect. It was his way of telling the world, I'm still alive. I'm still flying. This story isn't merely a farewell to a legend. It's a retelling of the spaceman's final journey. From the farewells of friends and fans, to the truth behind that fatal fall, the private life few ever saw, and the legacy he left behind for a world that once believed he came from another planet. When a star falls from the sky, its light doesn't vanish right away. It lingers somewhere, reflected through the souls that once shared its journey. So it was with Ace Frehley. His death didn't just leave a void on stage. It sent ripples across the rock world, echoes that reached every heart from those who began with him to generations, raised on the sound of his guitar. Gene Simmons was the first to speak. There were no grand words, only a quiet, heavy sorrow. Our hearts are broken. Ace has passed on. No one can touch Ace's legacy. I know he loved the fans. Simmons, who had built Kiss with Ace, lived through years of breakups, conflicts, and reconciliations, spoke like an older brother looking back at a closed era. In his words was not only grief but also recognition. Ace was the irreplaceable soul of the band that once shook the world. Soon after, Peter Criss, Kiss's original drummer, wrote on Facebook, "With a broken heart and deep, deep sadness, my brother Ace Frehley has passed away. He died peacefully with his family around him. My wife and I were with him to the end as well. I love you, my brother." It was no longer the voice of a colleague. It was the sob of a brother. Chris's words felt like the drum beats he once played, raw, honest, and straight to the heart. In that pain, one could still hear the memories of 4 young men once roaming across America, in an old van, carrying nothing but dreams and the smell of cigarette smoke. Paul Stanley, and who had stood shoulder to shoulder with Ace through the band's most glorious years, chose a more intimate way to remember him, posting an old photo on Instagram. I remember 1974 being in my room at the Hyatt on Sunset in LA, and I heard someone playing deep and fiery guitar in the room next door. I thought, boy, I wish that guy was in the band. I looked over the balcony. It was Ace. This is my favorite photo of us. That little story wasn't just a memory. It was the beginning of everything. Of Detroit, Rock City, Cold Gin, and of the millions of young dreamers who once longed to wear makeup and burn bright on stage. Across the world, Slash of Guns N' Roses wrote on X, "Hard to believe and process this devastating news today. Ace, I will miss you, and millions more will too. Rest in peace, my friend. One of the true great rock and roll guitarists, the spaceman, has left the planet now. From one rebel spirit of the next generation, it was a bow to the pioneer." Slash knew that without Ace, players like him and the entire fiery guitar era of the 80s might never have existed. Steve Vai on Instagram penned a eulogy both reverent and admiring. Ace Frehley was the embodiment of rock and roll attitude. Unapologetic, loud, and irresistibly catchy. His riffs had swagger, his tone had bite, and his presence lit up stages like a supernova. The spaceman has left the stage, but his orbit will shine forever. For Vai, the man who turned guitar technique into art, what made him bow to Ace wasn't complexity, but pure energy. That raw voltage capable of setting a stage on fire with just 3 chords. In an interview with Ultimate Classic Rock, Alice Cooper spoke with a trembling voice. "Ace was an absolute guitar hero to so many people. I did more tours with him than anybody else. We became quite good friends, and you know he always brought it every night. He did it every night, and it's just hard to see somebody like that go. It sounded like the lament of a man watching time take away his friends, one legend after another." Ace was an ace, he concluded, short but saying it all. And Mike McCready of Pearl Jam, who once shared the stage with Ace at Madison Square Garden, wrote, "I would not have picked up a guitar without Ace and Kiss's influence. Rip it out, Ace, you changed my life." From the metal side, those born in the flames of the '80s also bowed their heads. Panta posted on X, "Rest in peace, Ace. We're so beyond sad to hear of Ace's passing." Both Ace and Kiss were a huge influence on all of Panta, but especially Dimebag Darrell. Dime's obsession with Ace dates back to his early childhood. "You will be missed, Ace," so they didn't need to say much. Everyone already knew Dimebag Darrell, the man who made the guitar roar like thunder, began that journey by watching a spaceman on TV and dreaming of holding that same silver lapel. That tribute wasn't just a farewell. It was the closing of a circle between two generations of rebels. Then came Tom Mell, who had once inducted Kiss into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He wrote on X, "My first guitar hero, Ace Frehley, has passed away. The legendary Space Ace inspired generations to love rock and roll and rock guitar playing. His timeless riffs, the smoke from his Les Paul, the rockets shooting from his headstock. Unforgettable. Thank you, Ace, for a lifetime of great music and memories. A short goodbye. But if you listen closely, every image, the smoke, the fire, the manic laughter was the language of Ace himself. Mella didn't just remember the sound. He remembered how Ace made music come alive, how he turned the guitar from an instrument into a ritual of freedom. In Canada, Geddy Lee of Rush recalled in a post, back in 1974, as the opening act for Kiss, Alex Neil, and I spent many nights hanging out in his hotel room after shows, doing whatever nonsense we could think of just to make him break out his infectious laugh. He was an undeniable character and an authentic rock star. Thanks for welcoming us newbies into the rock and roll world. No longer a distant legend, just three young men trying to make that silver-faced guy laugh. But it was that laughter, carefree and pure amid the exhaustion of touring, that revealed the truth. Behind the silver paint was a real man, kind and warm-hearted. Brett Michaels of Poison wrote on Instagram, "Ace, my brother, I surely cannot thank you enough for the years of great music. The many festivals we've done together, and your lead guitar on Nothing But a Good Time. All my love and respect from my family and myself. May you rest in peace." That phrase, my brother, echoed across social media. It wasn't a cliche. It was real. In a world of egos and rivalries, everyone saw Ace as an older brother, a man who never turned away anyone who came to learn. And finally, John 5, his close friend for 35 years, wrote, "I am so shocked and saddened that this happened to my hero and my friend. I've known Ace since 1988, and we've been very close ever since then. Ace changed the world. He influenced millions of people and changed my life. I will miss you, my friend." Short, sincere, and impossible to fake. When someone calls another man my hero, after 3 decades of friendship, it's no longer just words. It's pain. From Gene to Slash, from Alice Cooper to the younger generations, they all said the same thing. Without Ace Frehley, they wouldn't have become who they are. An artist only becomes immortal when his sound continues to live within others, and these tributes proved it. Not as cries of sorrow, but as the final harmony of a brotherhood that even death couldn't silence. As the artist's farewells echoed across the world, the rest of the world joined in. The media, once a circus of gossip and scuttlebutt, turned into a vast canopy sheltering the truth of a legend gone. Fans from loyal Kiss Army veterans to kids picking up guitars for the first time all stopped, bowed their heads, and sent one final note to the spaceman. Major music outlets like Rolling Stone, Billboard, and Pitchfork quickly published memorial pieces emphasizing that Ace Frehley was one of the most underrated yet profoundly influential guitarists of all time. Cincinnati.com reported his net worth and time of death, but devoted half the article to memories, friends, reactions, and the emotional weight of the loss, transforming news into a shared grief. On social media, hashtags Rye Pace and the Spaceman spread rapidly. His old tracks were replayed, his solos watched again and again as if the world was trying to hold on to his shadow. Fans in Detroit, New York, and Tokyo laid flowers outside old venues, some wearing silver masks, some holding miniature guitars, others just standing in silence listening to rock and roll all night from a portable speaker. Kiss Army forums overflowed with messages. He made me believe rock could fly again. Without him, Kiss is half of what I loved. I'm 45 now, but still blast New York groove every morning. He wasn't as flashy as Van Halen, nor as heavy as Iommi, but every note he played carried a primal emotion, wild, lonely, and real. But with light came shadow. As Kiss grew into a global empire, Ace began to feel lost within the machinery of fame. Backstage, he drank more and laughed less. John and Paul talked about contracts. Ace only wanted to talk about music. By 1982, after mounting tension, he left the band. The first collapse in a life that fans would later call the first fall. What seemed like an ending, though, became proof of survival. The mid-1980s, Ace returned with Frehley's Comet, a band fueled by restless spirit and defiance. His solo album Ace Frehley 1978, released alongside solo efforts from the other Kiss members, stood alone as a triumph. Its hit New York groove climbing the Billboard Hot 100. Years later, Ace laughed about it. The other guys were making records. I was making history.